7. Contemporary conservatism 21世纪 Direct critique of neoliberalism and postmodern deconstruction. 7. 当代保守主义21世纪直接批判新自由主义与后现代解构 Patrick J. Deneen. Work. Why Liberalism Failed 2018. Core. Liberalism is self-destructive. Liberation of the individual 到 dissolution of community 到 atomization 到 moral nihilism 到 social collapse 到 civilizational decline. Alasdair MacIntyre works after Virtue 1981年 Whose Justice? Which Rationality? 1988年 Hey. Core. Modern morality collapses into emotivism and fragmentation, calls for a return to virtue ethics, communal tradition, and practical reason. 2. The origins of liberalism. A complete genealogy from Greco-Roman beginnings, early modern foundation, classical liberalism, utilitarianism, British New Liberalism, contemporary neoliberalism. 2. 自由主义源流，从古希腊、罗马萌芽，近代奠基，古典自由主义、功利主义，英国新自由主义，当代新自由主义，完整谱系。1. Ancient Greece and Rome. The germ of liberal ideas, non-modern, non-systemic, subordinate to community. 1. 古希腊罗马，自由主义观念萌芽，非现代，非体系，从属共同体。Ancient Greece had no liberalism in the modern sense, only ideas of civic freedom, the rule of law, political participation, and free speech, all fully subordinate to the polis community. Athenian democracy emphasized political freedom and legal equality for citizens, but freedom was a privilege, not universal human rights. The sophist Protagoras' claim that man is the measure of all things carried individualist and relativist overtones, criticized by Plato and Aristotle for dissolving order and virtue. Ancient Rome also lacked a systematic liberal framework, only private law protections, contractual ideas, and private property rights. Roman law clearly protected private property, contract, status, and the private sphere, but always served republican and imperial order. Freedom was freedom under law, not modern individual prior, anti-traditional, anti-order freedom. In short, ancient Greece and Rome had ideas of freedom, but no systematic liberalism. They prioritized community, virtue, and order, forming the soil of conservatism rather than the origin of liberalism. Early modern foundation. John Locke, the father of modern liberalism. 2. 近代奠基，约翰洛克，现代自由主义之父 John Locke. Works. Two Treatises of Government, 1689. Letter Concerning Toleration, 1689. Core ideas. 1. Natural rights. Life, liberty, and property are innate rights prior to the state and not granted by it. Social contract. The legitimacy of government derives from the consent of the governed. 3. Limited government. The sole purpose of government is to protect individual rights, not to intrude into the private sphere. 4. Religious toleration and separation of church and state. The state does not enforce religion or monopolize moral interpretation. 3. Liberal expansion in the Enlightenment. 3. 启蒙时代，自由主义扩展 Montesquieu. 1. Work. The spirit of the laws etc. Core. Separation of powers, checks and balances, institutional restraint of power to safeguard freedom. David Hume. Works. A treatise of human nature. An inquiry concerning the principles of morals. Core. Critiques rationalism, emphasizes experience, custom, sentiment, private property, and a free order. Adam Smith. Works. The Wealth of Nations 1776年 The Theory of Moral Sentiments 核心 Economic Freedom, the Invisible Hand, Moral Sympathy, Limited Government, and Market Order. 4. Utilitarian Liberalism, Bentham, Mill. 4. 功利主义自由主义边沁 Meagher, Jeremy Bentham. Work. An Introduction to the Principles of Morals and Legislation, 1789. Core. The Greatest Happiness Principle, Utility as the Standard of Morality, advocates legal protection of freedom and reduced state intervention. John Stuart Mill 作品 On Liberty, 1859年 Utilitarianism, 1863年 核心 1. The harm principle, so long as individual actions do not harm others, society and the state have no right to interfere. 2. Individual liberty, individuality, autonomy, and free speech are supreme. 3. Good and evil are matters of private choice, opening the door to moral relativism and state neutrality. 5. British New Liberalism late 19, early 20th century, the turn to positive freedom. 5. 英国新自由主义19世纪末到20世纪初积极自由转向 Thomas Hill Green Work Prolegomena to Ethics Ibabasan Core Freedom is not freedom from interference, but the power to do what is worth doing. The state may actively provide education, health, and basic security to promote real freedom. L.T. Hobhouse Work Liberalism 1911年 Core synthesizes freedom and equality, advocates the welfare state, social justice, and positive freedom. 6. Mid-20th century critique of freedom and totalitarianism. 6. 20世纪中期自由与集权批判 Karl Popper Work The Open Society and Its Enemies 1945. Core critiques historicism, utopian engineering, and totalitarianism. Defends the open society, critical rationalism, and individual freedom. Isaiah Berlin Work Two Concepts of Liberty 1958. Core distinguishes negative liberty freedom from coercion and positive liberty self-realization, warns that positive liberty can slide into totalitarianism and compulsion. 7. Contemporary neoliberalism philosophical mainstream, the right prior to the good, state neutrality. 7. 当代新自由主义哲学主流，权力优先于善，国家中立 John Rawls Works A Theory of Justice 1971年 Political Liberalism 1993年 Core E The right is prior to the good 2. State neutrality, no favoritism toward any religion, morality, worldview, or way of life. 3. Fair justice and the difference principle under equality. 4. Value pluralism as an inescapable fact of modern society. Ronald Dworkin Works Taking Rights Seriously 1977年 A Matter of Principle 1985年 Core Equal concern and respect as the highest principle. Rights as trumps. Individual autonomy supreme. Opposition to the suppression of individual rights by utility, collectivity, or tradition. Jürgen Habermas Works The Theory of Communicative Action 1981年 Discourse Ethics Core Reconstructs political legitimacy through rational discourse and communicative freedom, defends individual autonomy and public reason. 8. Libertarianism Radical Classical Liberalism 8. 自由意志主义 Robert Nozick 1. Work Anarchy, State, and Utopia 1974 Core The Minimal State Absolute inviolability of individual rights, opposition to wealth redistribution, state intervention, and welfarism. Milton Friedman. 1. Work Capitalism and Freedom 1962 Core Economic freedom as the foundation of political freedom, small government, market supremacy, laissez-faire. Re Chinese tradition. Conservatism as absolute mainstream, liberalism as only a scattered minority current, historically rigorous, systematic, medieval period rewritten in Western conservative, liberal framework. 3. 中国传统保守主义为绝对主流，自由主义仅为零星之流。For thousands of years, the intellectual backbone and civilizational order of China, established by the Zhou kings and Confucius, consolidated in the Qin and Han, shaken during the Wei, Jin, southern and northern dynasties, reconstructed in the Sui and Tang, philosophically systematized in the Song and Ming, and institutionalized in the Ming and Qing, has endured continuously. IT constitutes the Eastern conservative civilizational system with the longest continuity, most complete structure, deepest practice, and most solid historical foundation in human history. Its core spirit takes the heavenly Tao as ontology, heavenly principle as norm, rituals and music as order, human relationships as bonds, the family as foundation, clans as community, all under heaven as community, and the common good as ultimate value. IT consistently upholds that historical experience takes precedence over abstract speculation, traditional order over individual desire, virtue ethics over rights claims, and social stability over individual emancipation. IT forms a complete conservative system integrating state, family, and world, from top to bottom and from inner to outer. It is by no means a pile of scattered ideas, but an institutionalized intellectual tradition tested and continuously perfected over thousands of years. Is prequeen to Qin and Han, foundation and consolidation of Chinese conservatism. 一、先秦至秦汉，华夏保守主义奠基与定型。一、Pre-Qin Confucianism, the intellectual origin of conservatism. 一、先秦儒家保守主义思想本源。Confucius Classics, Analects, Core, transmitting the ways of Yao and Shun, modeling King Wen and King Wu. Centered on benevolence, regulated by ritual, advocating self-restraint and return to ritual, self-cultivation and securing the people, sovereign as sovereign, minister as minister, father as father, son as son. Emphasizing historical tradition, hierarchical order, and ethical education. Mencius Classics. Mencius, Core, good human nature, four beginnings, benevolence and righteousness, people, oriented governance, emphasizing human relationships, order, and community, not allowing individual selfish desires to override public values. Zunzi, Classics. Zunzi, Core, exalting ritual and emphasizing law, transforming human nature through artificial cultivation, restraining desires with ritual, assisting virtue with law, stressing order, norms, and governance practice. 2. Qing and Han, institutionalization and nationalization of conservatism. 2. 秦汉保守主义制度化、国家化。Representative Classics, Changqiu Fanlu, Book of Rights, Baihu Tongyi, Han legal codes, official ritual systems, representative figures, Dong Zhongshu, Liu Xiang, Liu Xing, Zhang Xuan, core views, interaction between heaven and humanity, 3 fundamental bonds and 5 constant virtues, great unification, integration of ritual and law, orthodox transmission of the Tao, clan order, priority of education.